Lethal Company is a game that's been out for longer than you might be comfortable hearing. But with it being in probably the best state it's been in, I thought it's about time I give it a review. Now I know for a lot of people, this kind of content might seem out of place on my channel, and I don't care. Even though this channel is mostly dinosaur content, I'm making this video to break the mold and branch out to different content. I also just loved Lethal Company as a game, and wanted to show both the good, the bad, and the ugly. The environmental design encapsulates the feeling of Lethal Company, which is, in my opinion, abandoned mixed with a pinch of holy shit, what the fuck made that sound 10 skedaddle. The second you land on a moon, you instantly realize, and oddly enough for your first go, a sense of safety? Well, look, the first time I played Lethal Company, I knew basically everything as I do with most games I go into. I had this feeling of odd safety when outside. I knew going in, I'd be in a confined area with thousands of monsters ready to submit me to horrors beyond your comprehension. But not mine. I've seen some things, man. The outside just feels a lot safer, due to the open space allowing you to take full control over the fact you live in a 3D environment. The interior, just like the environment, immaculate. Lethal Company's got 3 of these bad boys and each have a separate feel. Claustrophobia, liminal, and... Let's start with the first one, claustrophobia, aka the factory. The factory is the tightest fit interior that perfectly encapsulates a claustrophobic environment. The narrow halls and the maze put along with it. Yes, I know it's called a labyrinth, but those are the exact same words. Tops off the feeling of being in a claustrophobic area. The second one is liminal, which is the word I'd use to describe the mansion. The mansion, like any big place, feels like it should be littered with life and people around every corner. In reality, if you've been alive in the 2020s, you've heard of the backrooms, which basically at this point invented the word liminal spaces. So you know exactly how that would apply to the mansion. Big ass area with no one in it. And lastly, the mineshaft is fucking terrifying. So much so that the only word I could use to describe it is Bracken. Bracken is a monster that's AI feels almost built for the mines. Tight spaces with even tighter turns, perfect for a neck-snapping friend. The fear that the mineshaft gives off is kind of like a fear of the unknown. And Bracken is perfect for that, because you never quite know where he is. Holy fuck, is the sound design of Lethal Company good. Going back to what I said in the environment, there's always a moment when playing Lethal Company where you ask, what was that noise? Because you don't know exactly if it's going to be a sound a monster made or just the ambience. The outside feels the exact same as the inside, and that's a good thing, as it always makes the player on edge, especially when it turns night. The music of Lethal Company feels great for the game it wants to be, both funny and terrifying. And I think the best example of this would be the Ice Cream Truck song, versus any song that plays when you're in an interior. Good lord, is the monster design of this game honestly almost in a league of its own. Every single monster feels like it belongs, with very few being out of place. The best examples I can give of these are the most well-known of the game: Bracken, Coilheads, Forest Keeper, and the Kidnapper Fox. Brackens provide a sense of constant need to check your back, because if you get sidetracked for even 1 second, bro's gonna turn your neck into a pretzel. Coil heads provide a constant pressure to the player, as if you look away from it even for a second, the coil head is going to make his advances on you, and I don't mean in a romantic way. Forest keepers are honestly the most fun to deal with in my opinion, if you know how to. They can be a solid challenge for getting your stuff back to the ship. Kidnapper foxes. Although the most controversial monster added recently, it is by far the best design-wise. It just looks like it belongs in almost every environment. I could go on and on about creature design, but I think we'd be here all day if we did. Although it won't be the last we talk about it in this video. The gameplay loop of Lethal Company is rather repetitive, but this is kind of a good thing, as the game randomizing interior layouts makes it to where remembering all the layouts is something that's easier said than done. Collecting scrap and maximizing the efficiency of your routing also brings a sense of improvement when you bring back more and more scrap with each run. Although there's not much to talk about in terms of gameplay loop, and your gameplay loop is land on moon, get scrap, don't die, leave, repeat. I don't think a complex gameplay loop is something that you should strive for if it's not needed. Looking at you, dinosaur survival genre. So we can see that Lethal Company has gotten quite a bit right. It's strived for a silly game that can quickly become a horror game, and it's hit that mark well. But not everything is all sunshine and rainbows. In my opinion, remember this is coming from someone who has gotten used to 6-month gap updates, so take this with a grain of salt. This game updates a bit too frequently. It's honestly the reason why it's taken so long for me to make a review, because every week feels like this game has a new update that changes everything. Although I'm not saying that Seekers should slow down development tremendously, I am saying that the quick update releases give us very little time to adapt to the new changes. The Kidnapper Fox is by far the best example of this. Kidnapper Fox was added in and changed how people played the game. Although it was 100% too strong, I don't think it was quite overpowered. More so, people haven't gotten used to it, but more on him in a later video. Another example of this is that not everyone knows how the Forest Keeper works, despite the Forest Keeper being in the game for the longest time. If we were just given enough time to get used to these changes before the next update, then there would likely be less complaints about them. I'll keep this one short, as this is the only point coming from an almost purely solo player, but the game relies a whole lot on multiplayer compared to single player. And as someone who doesn't have people to play with 24/7 and keeps getting kicked from online lobbies because everyone only wants to play with their friends, it gets kind of rough playing solo in Lethal Company. The worst of the worst. We got 3 of these, so let's get through them. Please help me. I don't get how she works.
Does anyone?
If you've played this game long enough, then you'll know that after a while, even the damn flashlight is almost meaningless. Although every item in the store has a use, the vast majority never get used by the majority of players. Which is really a bad thing, because a lot of them have some pretty big uses, despite them seeming niche. Mainly stun grenades with old birds. this is the shittiest fucking map in the game. Because at least Embryon has a clearly accessible fire exit. The monster spawns are terrible for a free moon, with as terrible scrap as offense. The average value of scrap is about the same as both Assurance and Vow, and the amount of monsters that can spawn here is honestly ridiculous at times. Lethal Company is a game that got pretty much everything it wanted to get done right. And thus, the result is a game that has very few things actually wrong with it. But like, seriously, how does the Ghost Girl work? I'd give Lethal Company a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's an incredibly solid game, but still needs some ironing out to work out the kinks. But for $10, you get a game well worth your price.